I was a Cook County public guardian representing abused and neglected kids here in the city of Chicago. Prior to that, I was a clerk for a judge in the abuse and neglect court.
I've been a lawyer for over 15 years. I started in litigation doing labor and employment law, and after a few years I realized that litigation was not something I wanted to do my entire career. So I switched to estate planning. I had my own estate planning practice for around 5 years.
So when I worked at law firms as an admin and supervisor and helping to set them up, I did real estate and civil. I will always geek out about real estate.
So this would be my 15th or 16th year being a paralegal. I worked at firms for about 12 and a half years before I came over to Smokeball.
So I practiced high asset family law for about 4.5 years.
I was working at a criminal defense firm and a personal injury firm. I worked there basically all throughout law school.
I went to law school, and during law school, actually my first year, I started working at an international trust and estates and corporate law firm. And even after law school, when I moved to San Francisco trying to work in tech, but on the side I was taking like consulting projects from the firm. So I was doing a lot of like corporate law or trust and estates, more on the international tax side.
When you do estate planning, you really get to know your clients. You get to know about them, their lives, their family, and just hearing their stories. I mean, I had so many couples who had been together, married for 40, 50 years. It was just so touching and heartwarming to hear their stories.
My favorite memory is probably when I won this huge trial. It was about grandparents' rights, and the grandparents actually were wanting to get primary custody of these 3 children, and they actually lived in a different state. So the odds were completely against us from the beginning, but we fought and we fought and we fought, and finally those kids got to go with their grandparents, and those kids were so happy. And really honestly seeing how happy that made everybody, and how much work was put into that case, because it's like hundreds upon hundreds of hours, which when you're looking at that in context of billable hours, it's probably, I probably spent altogether, a good 2 months if you're looking at it, total wise on that case, just eating it, sleeping, breathing that case. And so it was amazing to see that great result. And there really is no higher high than when you're in court and the judge is rendering a verdict and it's in your favor.
So I got to work in estate planning, which is preparing wills and trusts, and just working with the clients and getting to plan out their legacy and help their families through one of the toughest of times was just truly an honor. You get to learn people's life stories, you get to learn about their families, have interactions with everyone, and just carry on their legacy and their financial wealth to their families is just super rewarding.
Favorite memory, honestly, is just making clients' days. So whether it's settling a case or a client buys their first home, it's just making their day in general.
Really understanding the business side of a law firm. I think when I first started, I really wanted to maybe start my own practice or maybe go out on my own. And that's definitely something that I didn't have the background in.
My biggest struggle was not so much with practicing law per se, but my struggle was with practicing law and owning a business, because they don't teach you that in law school. And it was so overwhelming when I started my practice, and I had to wear every single hat, and it was just a real challenge for me.
Honestly, my biggest struggle was always knowing what was on everyone else's plate. What's on your real desk? What's on your virtual desk? Are you at capacity? Like, can you do what's really needed? That's the nice thing about Smokeball. There's one thing I love feature-wise about it. It's tasks. You know exactly, hey, this is someone's virtual day. It says it right on the main dashboard. It's exactly where it's at.
My biggest struggle as a paralegal was timekeeping and also drafting documents. So timekeeping, I was one of those that was old school and kept a sheet of paper that I copied every month and physically wrote my time out. And then also drafting documents, I was typing in things from scratch that would take hours upon hours. So that was a lot of work.
Number 1 was literally horrible time tracking. Everything's on paper. It was awful. I thought this was the way that lawyers worked. I didn't even know that there was software available, but like billing my time every month and having to figure out what time I charge to the client and then seeing it getting discounted too was really horrible. But putting it in Excel spreadsheets, not having templates to track documents, especially with like corporate law and trust and estates, something so repetitive, but having to like redo documents from scratch all the time made me not excited about it.
when I learned of Smokeball, I thought it was a great way to bring my law background and technology together. And then once I learned more about software and spoke to somebody who actually worked here and just loved it, I knew it was the place I wanted to work.
When I had my practice, I implemented practice management software, and it was a game changer for me. I mean, I like totally geeked out on it. And I would tell like friends and colleagues about it, and I just realized that I wanted to help other lawyers improve their practices with technology.
Opportunity, and I think the software. The software does so much. Like, I actually was very surprised when I saw the software for the first time, because you think of case management and they're all the same, and then I took a look and a deep dive into the product, and I realized how intricate and detailed Smokeball really goes, especially with the document automation and having forms in every single state was pretty awesome. It's something I don't think many people know about.
Document automation, no doubt about it.
Automation, hands down. Automation, yeah. I also love workflows, but I think you start with automation, then you move on to workflows.
I actually worked for a firm that used Smokeball before coming to Smokeball, and the features of auto time and time tracking were great, so I didn't have to use my little piece of paper anymore, and also the document automation. So I went from spending hours upon hours to manually inputting everything into the documents to having, in essence, a click of a button where most every field was automated, so it saved me a ton of time.
It would be the automatic time tracking feature because I was so bad about it. It would be, look, the problem is I'd work, a 10 to 12 hour day and I'd be exhausted. I'm in the office at 10 p.m. at night. The last thing that I want to do before I can actually go home and sleep or do something or answer more client emails from my bed is log my hours. I just did not want to do it. I was already tired. And so inevitably I would wait a week or I'd wait 2 weeks to try to log my hours. And then by then I've forgotten half of what I did that prior week.
Timekeeping and billing, there's so many features. Okay, all of them. Payments would be great. Having clients pay by credit card, being able to bill them regularly and see your bills. The client communication portal is amazing because it helps clients see that you're actually doing the work. So yeah, pretty much everything.
Definitely the automatic time tracking, and not just for billing and whatnot, but even for the personal injury work, just being able to see when the last time someone touched a file was, what's been done on a case last, is definitely something that I wish I had when I was in the office.
I think they owe it really to their clients. I think that there's an ethical duty to represent your clients effectively, and being organized and using your time wisely, knowing what everybody is doing and on the same page is super important, and Smokeball checks all those boxes.
Why do law firms need Smokeball? I think honestly, it's your best employee. Like, as great as your current employees are, it's that employee that's never gonna be late, it's always gonna innovate, come up with new ideas for you, keep everything written down. It's doc management, email management, contact management, billing.
One, it just helps them stay competitive and making sure that they're not committing malpractice by forgetting to enter in their time or not communicating with clients correctly. So on time, making sure that they're not mismanaging funds, also have enough money to secure their law firm, like it keeps them on time with the billing, make sure that they're having a process of regularly sending out bills and getting paid by the clients.
The field of law and the industry that we're in is about 10 years behind technologically from other similarly like situated industries, right? So we're already so far behind. But technology expands and increases exponentially. So this isn't going anywhere. The future of law is technology. You have to have this. If you're looking at what's going to make my firm the most money and what's going to make me more efficient, which means that my employees are going to be happier because they're not spending 2 hours every day on administrative tasks, and I, as the managing partner, don't have to spend 20 hours a week on also doing administrative tasks, then that's going to make you more money inevitably.
We have one of the top rated customer service in the industry. Even when I was working as a paralegal using Smokeball, you could call and get someone and get help right on the spot. It's unmatched. And we really listen to clients' feedback. So if something's not working the way they want it to, or if they think another feature would be more helpful, we take that into consideration, we start working on it, and we actually implement those things. So it's just a great product all the way around.